Back in the woods. Back in the woods. Back in the woods. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, way on back up in the woods.
Afternoon, guys. Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School. In the mid-1750s, William Smith wrote a letter to his commander, Henry Bouquet, describing the need for his soldiers to have something called a watch coat. And he described this watch coat in his letter to his commander as an open front hunting shirt, or an open front shirt with the cuffs removed that would wrap around and be waterproofed by the use of oil, presumably linseed oil, and heat and time. And linseed oil was something that they used quite often to waterproof fabrics with, and my buddy Steve Davis has a pretty good video on that on my channel on how to waterproof something using linseed oil. I searched around and I found a company called Tentsmith, and they're out of New Hampshire, right here in the USA, that make a couple of really nice products. And one of those products that they make is the watch coat, and they've used a 21st century mentality, and that's what I like about it so well. It's classic 21st century Longhunter mentality to recreate this coat by using oilcloth. And if you guys are familiar with the Pathfinder haversack, many people own these. It's made out of oilcloth. So that is exactly what the Tentsmith company uses to make a lot of their products, and one of those being the watch coat. I had them send me a couple of products. One of the things that I had them make for me was a custom case for my, or custom sleeve for my double barrel 12 gauge muzzle loader. And it's basically a sleeve that's got a lining inside of it, a nice soft lining, and it is waterproofed by being made of oilcloth. My gun slides inside of it really nice, and then it folds over and can be tied off. And that gives me a really nice sleeve for my 12 gauge to protect it from the weather. So this is one of the products that they make that I would highly recommend as far as being a very good American-made product. But the product I'm really excited to show you is the watch coat. Okay, so I have my watch coat right here in my Pathfinder haversack, and as far as rain gear goes, you know, frog togs are a pretty reliable solution to rain gear, although they're not very good in the eastern woodland environment with all the thorns and brambles and things that we have here. They get tore up pretty easy. But if you're going to be out in the open, frog togs are a pretty good way to go for rain gear. This watch coat rolls up about this big, and I really haven't tried to compress it too much, but it fits right in the bottom of my haversack very, very easily. I actually had it standing on its end right beside my water bottle, but it's about 3.5 inches in diameter here, maybe 4, and probably 7-8 inches long. So we're going to fold this thing out and show you what she looks like. Stay with me, guys. Okay, guys, so I've got a piece of rope here, and you could wrap a piece of rope around this garment or your belt, whatever the case may be, depending on whether you want your tools on the outside or tools on the inside. And what this really is an 18th century style hunting shirt made from oilcloth that's been split up the middle. Exactly what it is. It's very lightweight. You can see when I hold it up, you can almost see through the fabric. It's got a beautiful oilcloth feel to it. It's almost like an Australian duster type garment. They make them plenty big so that you can wear them over clothes and things like that. This one is an extra large, and it is large for sure. And then what you would do with this is you would wrap this thing around itself like this, and then tie a belt around it or a piece of rope, whichever you chose to use. I usually carry a piece of rope with me simply for the fact that I can use that piece of rope for a wool blanket if I decide to wear that for a match coat. We've talked about that in other videos as well. So at this point, you're just going to wrap this rope around, pull it over and tie it off. Real simple, just like we tied the Roycroft pack frame off and everything else. except I'm not really worried about getting this off. So I'm going to go ahead and put a knot in there that I can get undone if I need to. And now I have something that's long enough that my hands are not going to get wet if I want to tuck my hands into it, but it's pretty easy just to pull it up to get my hands out. It gives me good coverage. Now, none of this stuff was ever meant to have a hood on it. That's why this doesn't have a hood. The hunting shirts of the 18th century didn't have hoods because they generally wore some type of wide brim hat, whether it was a tricorn or just a wide brim hat of some kind that would repel the water off of their head. Generally they were made of wool, as the hat is that I have on now. So now I have rain gear that goes way down below my knees, and that's what I like about that. Let me get this camera down a little bit for you guys so you can see how long this thing is. You can see it goes down to almost my shins to give me full coverage. It has plenty of room in the sleeves underneath so that I can move around, and it gives me good freedom of motion, but it's going to be good and 100% waterproof, and that's what I like. Now, they make this design as a pullover. You can buy this thing in pullover, or you can buy it in open front, and I like the open front mentality of this thing because then it's easy for me to shuck it off. The problem with pullover stuff is that when you try to pull it off, you've got to take your hat off and your headgear off and all that other stuff. And then when you're pulling that up and your shirt's coming up and all that mess is going on, and it's just uncomfortable to do that sometimes. So I've got a couple pullover anoraks. I wanted something that was not pullover, that I could just stuff into my haversack, very small, or in my backpack and keep it with me. And I think this is going to fit the bill. Like I said, this is total 21st century Longhunter mentality right here, and I absolutely love it. I can't wait for it to rain, to tell you the truth. I've been praying for sunshine for about 2 weeks because we had so much, 3 weeks because we had so much rain out here in Ohio. And now we're getting a bunch of sunny days right in a row, and I wish it had rained, just so I could really give this thing a thorough test. You know, the other thing that's really good about this oilcloth is that not only is it water repellent, it's also very wind resistant. So if you get a really heavy windy day and you're just looking for a light outer layer to stick on to break the wind, oilcloth is a good ticket for that. You can put that thing on, and it's going to cut the wind. It's pretty windy out here today. I've got on 2 shirts. It's fairly chilly, even though it's a fairly nice day. But I put this thing on, and now I can't feel one bit of wind hitting my clothes. But I'm going to put the Tentsmith link on the bottom of this video so you can go to their website and check it out. It's called the Watch Coat. They also sell gun sleeves like the one that they made for me for my double barrel Petrozzoli 12 gauge, my cap lock, my percussion cap, as some people would call them, and you guys can look at that too. I appreciate you joining me for another video out here. I thank you for everything you do for me, for my school, for all my Pathfinder affiliates, supporters, sponsors, and friends, and I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. Thanks, guys.